the man of the moment, Chris Hipkins. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is it sinking in yet?
It's been quite a sort of 3 or 4 days. I think it's 3 or 4 days now. It's easy to lose track. To be honest, I haven't really had a lot of time to sort of sit and reflect and digest it yet. I'm sure perhaps over the weekend maybe there'll be an opportunity to do that. It's been pretty busy, but pretty exciting and pretty energising.
Is your government going to be different, Chris, from Jacinda's government?
Look, it will be a government of continuity. The values that have guided the Labor Party and the Labor government in the last 5.5 years haven't suddenly changed. But the circumstances in which we are governing certainly have changed, and therefore our priorities need to change in response to that. If I think back to where we were this time last year, we were in a very, very different position as a country this time last year. The government needs to evolve and adapt to the fact that the challenges we're facing now are quite different.
So did Jacinda not do that?
I think it absolutely is an ongoing process. And, I think Jacinda signalled last year, in fact, that we'd been running the ruler over our existing work program and doing some reprioritisation. And I'm intending to lean heavily on that.
What do you think, if you can think back to what went wrong between the heights of the Jacinda Ardern government and now where, Labor's on track to lose the election, what is the single thing that you guys did wrong?
Well, I reject the last part of what you've said. I think we've certainly had a difficult year, but I don't think we're on track to lose the election at all. We're in this to win this. But look, 2022 was a very challenging year for New Zealand. I remember sitting there on election night in 2020 with all my colleagues celebrating the big win and thinking, goodness me, there's a bumpy road ahead for us. Because going from an elimination strategy where our border was closed, there was no COVID in New Zealand, to the inevitable point where we would have to reopen the border, we would have to learn to live with COVID-19, we would have to get through all that went with that. That was always going to be a bumpy ride. And, of course, now the world is experiencing the economic aftermath of the global pandemic and all of the things that went into the global pandemic. And, again, that was always going to be a bit bumpy. So, I want to acknowledge that that's where we are now.
Yeah, but what? It sounds like you're blaming external events. I mean, a bunch of stuff was done badly by your government that led you to the point where you're now trailing National in the polls. Don't you agree?
I think if you look at what people are telling us, they're saying we want you focused on the bread and butter issues that are most important right now. And that includes things like the cost of living. Now, a lot of those cost of living pressures are globally driven. Our inflation rate in New Zealand is high and it's hurting people, but it's actually one of the lower inflation rates around the globe.
But if you say,
people
Chris,
want to know that we're focused on those things.
If you say that you are going to focus on those things, do you accept that the Jacinda Ardern government was not focused enough on those things? It was seen to be focused on other things. It was distracted.
Look, 5.5 years is a long time. Over the time that we have been in government, our priorities have needed to change. And so, I think now we've got an opportunity for a bit of a reset and to say, okay, look, there are some things that we've accumulated on our program over the last 5.5 years that aren't a priority right now. And so that's the work that we're doing at the moment.
I know you don't want to talk about your policy platform or what you're going to do. You want to have some time to think about that. But you're going to have to cut three waters, aren't you?
Yeah, you're quite right, Heather. I'll stick with the first part of your comment there.
But I mean, it's not even up for debate, Chris. I mean, we can just talk about this now. You need to cut three waters. That is radioactive.
Well, when we say cut three waters, we're not going to turn off people's taps. And the issue that we've got here is that we've got $130 to $180 billion of investment required in the next 30 years in our water infrastructure across the country. If we don't do any reform at all, we're talking potentially thousands of dollars a year extra on people's rates. And that's a cost.
So you're going to do something. You're going to do something, just not what's being done at the moment.
Well, we need to make sure that we can upgrade the infrastructure, that we can cope with population growth, that when people turn the taps on, they can actually get healthy drinking water out of them. And that's going to cost money. And we've got to find a way of funding that and of doing that work that's efficient and that doesn't put a huge additional rates burden onto Kiwi households. Are you going to repeal it? Are
you going to repeal the way that it is right now? Are you going to have to go back to the law and actually pull it out?
Look, like I said, I'm not going to preempt the decisions that we might take.
Hey,
but the imperative for reform is absolutely still there.
Do you reckon we can avoid recession?
Look, I'm very optimistic about New Zealand's future, and you're not going to hear me talking the country down. I think those who are doing so are are really not doing us a favour in any way. I think that New Zealand is in good shape going into some pretty hefty global headwinds when it comes to the economy, but we are in good shape and ready to face those. I think New Zealand's future is a very good one. I'm not going to speculate on whether we go into recession or not. I am going to acknowledge, though, that Kiwi families are feeling the pinch at the moment and they want to know the government's got their back.
How'd your parents react?
With a bit of nervousness, I guess, but they're very, very supportive, but I think with all families, they see the pressure that we political leaders get put under, and, that's been a bit of reflection for them.
Chris, are you getting emotional at the moment?
No. Look, it's been a big week for a boy from the hut. And look, I'm really proud and humble.
I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you, but it sounded like it. Why? Is it because it has been? Is it because of the enormity of the job that you're facing, or because you have been under so much pressure?
Look, it's a big job. I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a very big couple of days, and I'm feeling really energised by those. There's a lot ahead though.
What was up with that outfit, Chris?
Oh, Heather, goodness me!
No,
you should see me when I'm in the garden. Mate, it's a lot worse than that.
Do you know? Honestly, if you walked into a dairy that I owned dressed like that, I reckon I'd start dialing 111. Wouldn't you? You look dodgy as.
As long as you didn't discharge the fog cannon, that'd be a bit of a problem.
Fair enough. Chris, thank you very much, and congratulations again, Chris Hipkins, incoming Prime Minister. By the way, if you haven't seen the outfit is available on Trade Me. It's wraparound sunglasses and a worn-out cap. He looks extremely bogan, and at the moment the bidding is $1,530, so that's a lot of money. And by the way, you will notice Chris Hipkins, unlike Jacinda Ardern, is back on Newstalk ZB. I don't need to remind you that Jacinda Ardern decided to pull out of appearing on this station in her weekly interviews. Chris Hipkins is now doing that.